Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of the DAN Show, and welcome to my breakdown of the Carolina Panthers. Now, if you're new to my channel, I just got one simple question for you. Do you want to talk football? Because if so, you're in the right place. There's this button right around here. See it, see it, see it. Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. Now, this video shows my opinion of the Carolina Panthers, but what's important is your opinion. I want to hear what you think. Either drop a comment below or simply shoot me an email at thedanshow@yahoo.com and let's discuss football. Now, here's how my breakdown's going to go. I'm going to break down what I like about the Carolina Panthers. Then I'm going to talk about what I don't like about the Panthers, but stick around to the very end where I break down the Vegas over-under and if I am going to put action down on the Panthers. So let's start off with what I like about Carolina. First thing I like about the Carolina Panthers is the draft. Now, for those of you that don't know, Matt Rule brought his defensive coordinator in from college, not just Baylor, but in Temple. So when he took the Temple job, he brought his defensive coordinator in. Then when he went to Baylor, kept the same guy, takes a job in the NFL, keeps the same defensive coordinator. So what he do is that he gave the whole draft to his defensive coordinator. Matt Rule's an offensive guy. Hey, build your defense up your way. It's really not a separate point, but one thing I like is that they were public saying that they're going to go with a 4-3. For those of you that are Panthers fans, Ron Rivera, you already know this, but Ron Rivera ran a 4-3, and then last year he wanted to switch to a 4-3-3-4 hybrid. Complete disaster. The defense went straight to shit. Well, it's kind of funny because they went public and said they were going to run a 4-3, but they drafted a lot of 3-4 personnel. I'm not going to go into specifics and a lot of detail into this, but I like the fact that you bring in your defensive coordinator and you give him the tools that he needs to succeed. The whole draft went all to the defense. I love that move. And also on a side note, I like the fact that in college they ran a multifaceted defense. And even though you say you're on a 4-3, you got a lot of 3-4 personnel, so you're probably going to have a multifaceted defense this year. So it's going to be fun to watch. Second thing I like about the Panthers is drafting Derrick Brown at number 7. Now, if you watch my draft videos, I had Derrick Brown as my number 2 player overall. Now, how I did my big board was a little different. I took the quarterbacks completely out of the equation because I felt like different teams have different fits. I thought the Bengals' best fit was Joe Burrow. I thought the Dolphins' best fit was Tua. I thought the Chargers' best fit was Justin Herbert. There wasn't really a clear 1, 2, and 3 in my eyes. So when I made my big board, I threw them all out. Even if I had to put those 3 quarterbacks in, Derrick Brown would still be my number 2 player. This is a really good football player, Panthers fans. You should be very excited about him. He is a game changer, and you're going to love him. Even if the production isn't there, year 1, it doesn't really matter. You have a cornerstone player for your defense. This is a really good football player. You're very lucky to get him at 7. Third thing I like is Bridgewater over Cam. I have to admit, I've never been a huge Cam fan. It's kind of funny because I made my 2019 video and I got more thumbs down than any other video, but I was right. I said both Cam Newton and Ron Rivera was not going to be around for 2020. I've never been a fan of Cam. I'll never forget in 2012, it was, I think, Cam's second season in the league. He came to Arrowhead, and we saw him the opposing side, and I always watch the opposing quarterback. Well, Cam sat by himself, towel over his head, and then I remember he ran on the field. One of the defense players tried to give him a high five. Cam just ignored him completely. I remember the week before, or it was either the week before or the week after, Peyton Manning came. And Peyton Manning sits around his teammates. He's got the playbook out. He's always doing work. Cam Newton did none of that. And it really rubbed me the wrong way. And I've always had kind of a sour taste of Cam Newton because college-wise, he watch that season of him at Auburn, that one season at Auburn, maybe the greatest season of any quarterback in college football history. But as an NFL quarterback, I always thought he was overrated. I never really felt like he put the time in that somebody like Peyton Manning did, who had less talent but more of a career. Now, keep in mind, Cam Newton may have a great resurrection of his career in New England, but he had to get out of Carolina. Carolina needed to move on. What Teddy Bridgewater brings to this offense under Matt Rule is night and day because Bridgewater fits Rule's offense. Cam Newton did not. So kudos to the Panthers for not trying to put a square peg in a round hole, but they got their guy who's going to be a better fit regardless of wins and losses this year. Fourth and final thing I like about the Carolina Panthers is CMC, and that's Christian McCaffrey. He was the best running back in football last year. That's a no-brainer. I almost feel like I disrespected him when I did my Giants video, and I said Barkley's the best running back going into 2021. If you're a Panthers fan and you want to tell me that I'm wrong, I can't really argue that. Here's a guy who's entering his fourth season, and you already have to talk about him being a Hall of Fame caliber player. If year 4 is better than year 3, not only is he an NFL MVP candidate, you got to start talking Hall of Fame. If his fourth year is better than his third year and he retires, should he be in the Hall of Fame? Yes, he should. He's that good. However good you think Christian McCaffrey is, he's actually better. The level of play he is playing in a small market in Carolina is really, really underrated and undervalued. What he is doing is extraordinary. I'm dying to watch him play in 2020. He is easily the Panthers' best player. He is easily the cornerstone of that franchise, and what he is doing is amazing. I'm hoping that he has a better season in 2020 than 2019, but it's almost impossible to do that. What he is doing is unbelievable. So just to recap what I like about the Panthers, I like giving the draft all to your new defensive coordinator. Side note, I also like the players that they drafted. They got really interesting players that are multifaceted. They can play in a 4-3 or a 3-4. Second thing I like is Derek Brown. You get the second best player in the draft, in my humble opinion. At number 7, this is a cornerstone piece to your defense. They will build this defense around Derek Brown. If you're a Panthers fan, you're going to love this kid. Third thing is bringing in Teddy Bridgewater and getting rid of Cam Newton. I could have that be 3A and 3B, but you had to move on from Cam, and getting Bridgewater is an excellent fit for this team. And fourth is Christian McCaffrey, the best running back in football last year. Really, probably the most underrated player in maybe all of football. However good you think he is, he's better. And best running back in football. He's probably, I'm going to say second best running back going into 2020, but I almost feel like that's a disrespect. Leave me a comment below if you think that is disrespectful to call him the second best running back in football. Now let's talk about what I don't like about the Carolina Panthers. All right, first thing I dislike about the Panthers, and how I'm going to break this up is was kind of debatable, but I'm going to break it up like this. First thing is the defensive overhaul and losing Kuechly. I'm going to combine them both. Okay, your best defensive player retires, and then you're basically bringing in a whole defensive draft. I'm looking at possible 3 starters on defense, and even then, you still have some other players that are going to come in. Quan Short, one of my favorite players, he's coming back from an injury. There is a lot of question marks on this defense, but this complete defensive overhaul with a new scheme and all these new players is difficult. Second thing I don't like is that, and this is a repeating pattern, and I thought about combining this all together, but I'm going to have it 2 separate points. First-time head coach, first-time scheme. First-time head coach, new scheme. No mini camps, no OTAs. Not only are you bringing in a bunch of new defensive personnel, you got a new quarterback. You have a completely different system on offense and defense. And you're a first-time head coach. That's a lot to overcome. Third thing I don't like is you're a 5-win team last year, but Christian McCaffrey got 400 touches. How the fuck do you have Christian McCaffrey touch the ball 400 times and you win 5 games? All right. Now, Derrick Henry, when they were trying to make the playoffs, you gave him the ball 30 times a game. That makes sense. If you're a 5-win team, Christian McCaffrey cannot touch the ball 400 times. Look, if you're on pace to win 5 games this year, you can't have Christian McCaffrey touching the ball 25 times a game. That is just stupid. It would not surprise me in 2021 if they draft a running back in the first 3 rounds. You got to save Christian McCaffrey. Now, somebody's going to bring up that, hey, Emmitt Smith weighed about 195 and he got his weight to 220 just like Christian McCaffrey and played for 100 years. Emmitt Smith had the best offensive line maybe in the history of the NFL. Christian McCaffrey doesn't have that. The additional weight, running him between the tackles and giving the ball 25 times, his career is shortening by the second. You got to rest this kid. Having him touch the ball 400 times last year in a 5-win team is just stupid. Fourth thing I don't like is that you don't have a number one wide receiver or a tight end. Now keep in mind, I say tight end because Greg Olsen was really the number one receiver for several years in Carolina. He's that safety blanket, 3rd and 7. That's the guy you went to. The leading receiver, of course, is Christian McCaffrey, but you could have brought in a number one wide receiver. And don't tell me Robbie Anderson's a number one wide receiver, and don't give me that DJ Moore. These are number 2 receivers. Could they develop into number one wide receiver? It's possible, especially DJ Moore, because there's a lot that I like about him, and I think he'll excel in this offense. But I don't see a number one wide receiver, and it's definitely not your tight end. 3rd and 7, if your plans to go to McCaffrey after he already touched the ball, hopefully on 1st and 2nd down, that's a mistake. They should have got somebody to help take the load off Christian McCaffrey. I already talked about the burnout, so you should have got a number one wide receiver. Robbie Anderson's solid too, not a number one guy. And finally, I could combine these. I'm combining 2 points here, but in this division, you're going against 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And if you want to argue Matt Ryan's not a Hall of Fame quarterback, I'd love to hear that argument, but I don't see it. He already hit 50,000 yards, and he's going to hit 60. He's still got a good 3-4 years left, and he's still playing at a very high level. So he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Is he the least accomplished of the 3? Yeah, obviously, but he's still a Hall of Fame quarterback. So you're basically a team that's rebuilding from the ground up, and you're going against 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, 3 teams that are planning on making the playoffs. You are not. So just kind of recap here, the defensive overhaul, including losing your best player. You have a new system on both offensive and defense, and a first-time head coach without the training camp or OTAs, and that's a repeating trend for a lot of teams, but still noted. The Christian McCaffrey burnout, 400 touches on a 5-win team last year. That's unacceptable. Number 4, you don't have a number 1 wide receiver or tight end. And number 5, you are going against 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in your division. So what did I say? Stick around to the very end. We're going to talk about the Vegas over-under. The Vegas over-under for the Carolina Panthers is 5.5. That is a perfect line from Vegas. It's exactly the same line I would have put. The over is negative 130. So if you think the Panthers are going to win 6 or more games, you have to wager $130 to win 100. The under is plus 110. So a $100 wager will win you $110. Now, I'm probably avoiding the Panthers, and I say probably because I love the under. I'm looking at this team. I don't see how they get over 5 wins. All right, it's realistic that they're going to go 0-6 in the division, but I think the ceiling is 2 wins. All right, so 2 and 4, and then you have to get 4 out of the next 10. And I'm looking at this schedule, and I don't see any way that they get to 5. And the answer is 5.5, so I got to get to 6. I'm really thinking this is anywhere between a 2 and 4 win team. And Panthers fans, I know I'm going to get some hate here from you guys because, nobody wants to hear that they might have the worst team in football, but you might have the worst team in football. Now, the reason why I'm against betting the Panthers is I do like Bridgewater. CMC is awesome. There's talent on this defense, but I'm looking at 3 starters that are going to be rookies. Oh boy. And your defensive coordinator, he's never even been I should double check, but I don't think he's ever been a pro coach. He's been a defensive coordinator in college. He's never been an NFL defensive coordinator. Matt Rule spent a year with the Giants. So there's a lot of college experience, but not pro experience. So right now I'm really on the fence, but I'm leaning towards betting on the Panthers. Definitely the under. I don't see a way that Panthers get over 5 wins this year. But again, this is my opinion. I want to hear from you. Even you Panthers fans that are going to tell me I'm dead wrong. I definitely want to hear from you. You're always allowed to disagree with me. That's the whole point. I'm offering my opinion. I want to hear from you. I would love it if I get thumbs up and like, hey, Dan, you're right. But if I'm wrong, I want you to tell me. I have no problem eating crow. So listen, tomorrow I'm going to break down Arizona Cardinals. So, hey, I will see you tomorrow.